Major General Michael Berry, the Acting General. Colonel Wiley Blevins, Chief of Staff. Colonel Joseph Cook Jr., the G1. I will now turn it over to Lieutenant Colonel Fuller.
Well, welcome to the Women's Parade. And more importantly, welcome to celebrate Sergeant Foust. So it's a little different. You can say, General and I were talking outside. COVID's kind of messed everything up and kind of pushed everything around and made our lives upside down. But hey, Sergeant Foust has been an integral part of the military, integral part of the Guard, and with that, we'd like to celebrate her years of service.
Attention to order. Sergeant First Class Angela Foust, who awarded the Meritorious Service Medal for meritorious performance as a Delaware Army National Guard Recruiting and Retention Battalion's IAD team manager, ICE team manager, and RSP staff member from 01 May 2007 to 31 January 2020. Sergeant First Class Angela Foust's dedication and commitment to the battalion's success was unmatched. The bravery, soldierly valor, and the willingness to dare all dangers, even death, rather than give up short of the goal. It is frequently displayed in coats of arms commemorating bravery and valor. The next award is the Spouse Award. The Outstanding Spouse Award is presented to Jeffrey S. Foust by the State of Delaware and the Department of Military Affairs. The next award is a Certificate of Appreciation for POTUS.
Air Force for 9 years, active duty, served as a avionics specialist. She enlisted in there, and then she culminated throughout the Air Force and ended up being an Air Force avionics instructor. So, when I was reading this about her, I said, I'm not surprised, because we look at Sergeant Foust and how she's just super driven, super dedicated to the mission. And when she culminated to instructor in the Air Force, I wasn't surprised. So after she did her 9 years, she said, you know what? She did great. In only a couple months, decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to look, I see this shining light. Let's see it. It's the Delaware National Guard. They're calling me. Not only did she join the Delaware National Guard, but she wanted to move into the recruiting team. Those incoming recruits, she's managing them coming in the door when they, they're all scared and wide-eyed and they don't know what to do, and they go to basic training, then they come back, and then now what? And Sergeant Foust was there in the beginning, and then on the end, and then when they transition to AIT, the same thing. So keeping that flow and keeping that good work and their enthusiasm to be in the Guard, it's really important. It's such an important position for us all to retain those soldiers. She also was an IST manager, and I dealt with Sergeant Foust with Troop Command, IST. We had several ISTs, whether they leave us or those that are coming in. And Sergeant Foust managed that, and did a really good job. When you think about those soldiers that are coming in the Guard and leaving, they're like basically on their own. So she was our point of contact, and she managed that really well. So she spent over 26 years in the military, 21 years active. It's commendable, to say the least. And I think about all those things she did in recruiting, and then at the end of her tour, they through the career management, through the enlisted process, said, hey, look, we're going to try guarding assignments. They started shuffling some folks around. Sergeant Foust was transferred over to the G1, and she said, you know what? I did my time. I did it all, and it's time for me to say, you know what? I've done enough. I want to try another chapter. Did a real good job on the G1 the short time that she was there, but now she decided, hey, look, it's time for me to move on. And so I talked a lot about the actual things she did in the military, but the things that you may not know about, or one thing you may not know about Sergeant Foust, which I know about her, is she's literally a plant whisperer. So if you don't know that, and if you walked in today in the Women's Array Center, it makes me sad now when it comes to morning. That little area with all that mulch in there used to have several plants in there. There used to be all these plants in there. And in fact, when this building was I used to walk up in there and say, they almost finished with fake. Like they looked so perfect that they looked literally fake. Until I saw Sergeant Foust one morning carrying a 5-gallon bucket of water and watering the plants. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, yeah, I'm watering these plants. It's right there. So she literally taking care of all the plants that were on her. And you know, I know that's near to your heart, and it's pretty cool because she kind of took care of this place and made it really nice. Unfortunately, like I said, her founder couldn't be here. Jeff, married 28 years. 28 years. Yeah, she has 2 sons, Zach and Ben, daughter-in-law Rachel, and a granddaughter, Georgia, who she spent looking forward to spend a lot of time with her. So, you know, so we want you to be happy with that. And that's what we're. So with that, Sergeant Major's going to come up. We have a couple things from recruiting. The first thing that we would like to do is with their recruiting point. So this is from us to you, recruiting team.
Foust kept up with them during high school, talked to high school teachers, talked to parents, talked with L&Os downrange at the Big Four basic training sites and the AIT locations. Sergeant Foust worked with the L&Os to save potential losses. And regrettably, I don't have the stats, but it was a lot. Over the years, she continued to do it over and over and over. You go down to the RSP now, you see a full staff, you see 2 drill sergeants, you see a nice sized cadre. Before recruiting got our plus-ups, we had maybe 5 or 6 down there. And Sergeant Foust was like a road runner. If anyone's ever seen a road running cartoons, you heard her, but you never saw her. She was back and forth, back and forth. She contributed to all the phases. She was the S1 down there. She was the S4 down there. She was everything down there. So, and it's just a very, very, very critical position, a critical task. And with our Sergeant Foust and those efforts back there, we want to be where we are today. So, thank you again. We spoke earlier. Thank you again for your efforts. Hopefully, we'll continue to grow. But the RSP did get nationally recognized as one of the top small states in the nation for training pipeline success and distinguished honor grads, PT awards. There was a lot of success, and those soldiers now are in the formations, and hopefully they'll continue to grow, and we'll keep that trend and that tradition that we started now. So thank you again.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to take this off to keep the distance. So I'm really honored to have been asked to come down here today for Sergeant Foust and for her retirement formation. So I want to make my comments based on 2 things. One, I want to talk about being a member of the organization, a leader of the organization. I had the fortune through my tenure, through my career, to have watched the RSP, and so many of the comments that were mentioned about Sergeant Foust's contribution to the organization really go back to where it all began for all of us, or for the majority of us. And that is those initial contacts that we have with folks in uniform and what they represent to us as young people, as we're beginning our new careers. And I had the fortune of watching that RSP and the recruiting and the work that they do, besides getting the signatures on the paperwork, getting them through basic, getting them through AIT. I got to see that firsthand. But through that career, one of the things that we really should strive for, and that is legacy. What will our legacy be when we do decide that we're going to retire and leave the organization? And for all of you that are in the recruiting and retention world, legacy is truly what it's all about. For Sergeant Foust, it's hundreds, thousands is her legacy. So from a professional side of the house, there's no better way. You take your best in your organization and you put them with that initial contact. And that's what we did for a long time. And you did a great job. And you should be very proud of all of us walking around in uniform. And you're going to see us when you're retired. You're going to see them coming and going to drill. But just be proud of that. Because that legacy that you have now is going to go on What a great day. And I don't mean great because you're leaving. I mean, what a great day because you've earned it. And our organization is stronger for it, and it will be stronger for many years to come. And that kind of goes back for all our new folks and younger folks that are recruiting and the ones that aren't new. Pass it on. This is what you have to have in order for us to maintain the strength that we have and the professionalism that we have. That's the person you need to watch and follow. So again, thank you very much. And we'll pull the mask back on to make it close. And on behalf of 2,700 men and women of the Delaware National Guard, I'm going to wish you the best of luck. Don't be a stranger, and you will be missed. So congratulations.
I'm not good at endings. Generally speaking, I'm really bad at them. Matter of fact, if you've ever, even in passing, hey, said goodbye to me, I'm always just like, see, I'm not even good with regular goodbyes. Never mind ones that are meaningful and more profound than the average I'll see you tomorrow. So I'm not good when books end, I'm not good when movies end, I'm just really not good at endings. So I got to thinking, and I mentioned this to the RSP cadre when I left there. When I moved to the G1, and by the way, the G1 has been an amazing soft place to land as I transitioned out. Amazing people in that office, and it's just been a really great experience. Yes, I would have rather stayed at the RSP, of course, but I was active duty moving habits. Heck, at least moving in the Delaware corridor, I was in a cardboard box, not a U-Haul truck. So the move wasn't that big a deal, but it was just a change for me because I'd done 13 and a half years of soldier, to mentoring, phone calls, and I was kind of happy to get that cell phone over the Elizabeth Day. So as I went to the G1, I didn't have that anymore, and it was really nice in a way. My phone never rang. Just like, I was plenty of work to do, but the drama was gone, and I liked it, but I didn't like it. And I missed the soldiers. I did. I definitely missed the RSP cadre on for a weekend. So little by little, as I was there, a few weeks, a month or two, I started running into soldiers from the RSP. They were up there doing their SRP, or they're coming up to the G1 for something, whatever. Or I'd see them as I walked in the hallways, they were getting something. And they would come up and talk to me, and not necessarily thank me, but they'd always say, okay, so what are you doing? And, oh, well, as long as I got you, I got this. And then I found myself helping with problems again. It's just a natural thing, I guess, for soldiers to do with NCOs they know, or officers for that matter. So I kind of started seeing myself as RSP North. To be honest with you, that's kind of was part of what I was doing up there, and that's kind of how I muddled through my my weaning off of dealing with training. So as I mentioned with Tom Brady, someday when he goes into the Hall of Fame, he's like 105, he decides to quit playing. He will go in as a Patriot. His legacy will be as being a Patriot, regardless of what he does with that other team. While I love my time at D1, no complaints. I know my legacy will be soldiers and leading soldiers and the RSP, because that program was my baby. So to the RSP cadre, couldn't all be here, former and current, you are the finest group of NCOs and officers I have ever worked with. And what you do is so important and meaningful, and having all these soldiers come up to me later. Matter of fact, Joe Stormblatt, I was walking down the hallway with an SRP, and one of the soldiers sitting in the chair saw me with his eyes on this thing. He sat up really straight, this little plastic chair. Oh, wouldn't it be great to bring Joe Stormblatt in here? I walked around with that, just freak them all out. But in all seriousness, they talk to me. What you do matters. What you do lasts with those people. So don't ever forget that. Okay, don't ever forget that. I was told a story one time, actually by my pastor, that Mark Twain told a story one time of a person who went to heaven, he was dreaming, who went to heaven and got to the pearly gates and asked St. Peter, hey, I've always wanted to meet the best general, the world's greatest general, and I heard he's here. And St. Peter, without missing a beat, said, oh yeah, you're in luck, he's right over there. And the guy looked over and went, no, I mean, I'm looking for the world's greatest general. He said, yeah, it's him. He said, no, he was a common laborer, I knew him on earth. And St. Peter responded, well, you don't understand, he could have been the greatest general if somebody had mentored him. And that story resonated with me. It resonated with me. These soldiers, they have names, they have faces, they have lives, they have meaning. And I know we get real busy on drill weekends, so we're doing 1,000 things. Take the time. Take the time to talk to soldiers. Take the time and be the leader that you needed when you were in E1 or E2 or E3. All right? Because they need it. Some of these kids are coming from homes, and you touched on it, but one of the biggest problems that we had was dealing with soldiers who were homeless. dealing with soldiers whose parents were on this far from kicking them out, or they didn't have a parent, they're living with a grandparent. Mary Ellen can attest to that. She spent a lot of time counseling soldiers that had some lives that you wouldn't believe. So take the time to listen to them. You might be the only person that does. So I'll get off that soapbox. Before I close, I really want to say to a couple of special people that have been through my career. Well, first of all, like I said, I want to thank my husband. He couldn't be here. He started a new job. We talked about it. It was okay. It was fine. And we've been to each other's military ceremonies for a lot of years. He's retired military as well. So my family, first and foremost. I've had a lot of great leaders, a lot of great teachers, a lot of great supervisors, but really only a handful of people that I would necessarily consider mentors. And I want to call some attention to them. Major Singh. He doesn't look like a major right now. But when I first came back to recruiting, you were there, and I remembered you as a staff sergeant. Surprised to see you as an officer, but throughout the time that I've known you, you've been a very good leveling person for me. You've always kept things real with me. You've always been honest with me when I've asked you for feedback, even if that feedback hurt. Even if you knew what you were going to say to me was going to tick me off, maybe even hurt my feelings. You said it anyway, and the times that I needed it, matter of fact, I knew when I needed to call you and ask you something because I knew in some cases you would be the only one who would do it. So I appreciate that. It mattered to me. Command Sergeant Major Daniel. Where are you? All the mass as far as thank you. I can't tell. When I first started back with recruiting full time as ADOS, although I'm pretty sure Val Miller made you hire me, but that's okay. We had a little bit of a rocky start. We didn't know each other very well, but we developed a really good working relationship, and I can't count the times I came to your office and said, I have screwed this up, please help me fix it. And you did. And you were patient with me because yes, I was in E6, well, E5 and E6 at that point, but I was new to 42 Alpha because I was transitioning from one branch to the other. I'd only been a recruiter before. I'd never been admin. So people looked at me like I had that experience because I had some rank, but I didn't. And you helped me enormously. And yeah, mutual respect there. Chief 9. And not just because you're a Red Sox fan either, although that helps enormously. Again, another person who I could come to and ask for an opinion, and you give me honesty. You always had a great sense of humor. You had a great way of keeping things in perspective for me. When I would have a bad day, I could come over and you make me laugh. And obviously, I learned a lot about 42 Alpha world from you as well. So, Sergeant Major Heinz Fairfax. Even though we've only worked together technically for a couple of months, I mean, between you being HRO and the G1, given my IST stuff here, and I called you almost daily sometimes. There's sometimes when we talk to each other. Some days I talk to you more than I talk to my spouse. I mean, we just talked a lot on the phone. We had a lot of things to work out, and just like Sergeant Major Daniel, you fixed some of the goofs that I made, and occasionally I fixed some of yours. So that was nice occasionally when you would goof up and make me feel like I helped. But you were also a very steadying factor. A couple times, Sergeant Major Heinz Fairfax she sent me a few emails when I was having a rough time, and as a fellow Christian lady, it helped. It helped when I needed it. So thank you. Finally, the Sergeant First Class Andrew Matthew. I don't know that people should be AGR and drill together when it's the RSP, because we just were constantly working together. Luckily, we had a great working relationship. I was joking with Colonel Woolhar earlier that the spouse award, I should take a picture of myself and Sir Matt, and he joked he was my drill spouse, because we would butt heads. We would argue over stupid stuff because we were exhausted, tired, because we'd been up since 5 o'clock in the morning. He had broken up a fist fight in the barracks because somebody didn't want to get up for fire watch or something. There was always something, And so by the end of the day, sometimes we really argued. Not always, but we did. But you know what? 20 minutes later, it's like it never happened. We never took it personally. We understood it was what it was, and we knew once we walked away, we came back, never mentioned it again, and it was fine. It was great. But he put up with a lot of my energy, and put up with a lot of my ranting when things didn't go the way they were supposed to, or I felt like a soldier wasn't treated the way they were supposed to be treated. I would get a little irate, and he listened to it over and over again. Probably didn't hear a word, but he acted like he was listening anyway. That's what Sergeant Matthew was to me a recruiter. Whenever things would get insane, I'd go in and go, oh, just talk me down. And he always did. So, and of the 13 years that I was in recruiting, you were by far the best operations OCO I ever had the pleasure of working with. And don't Thank you so much, everybody, for coming, for rearranging your day. Some of you had to rearrange a lot of different things, travel up one side of the state, down the other to be here. I enormously appreciate it.